So we're 2 weeks into the new year, and you might have given up on your resolutions or intentions, but I'm going to show you why you shouldn't and how to make intentions that are actually going to carry through for all of 2021. In this way of setting up intentions, there are a couple of categories to kind of break it down to make it a bit more manageable and not seem so overwhelming. We'll have again, full list of how this formatting works for this specific intentions. If this works best for you, then you can just stick with this one that Jen Atkin posted. If you don't follow her, she is a founder of Way, and she is a celebrity hairstylist, and she just has like this format that she created over the years that I think works really well because it again challenges yourself in the best way possible. So you kind of break it down into categories and then fit as many intentions within that respective category that you want to have. For example, you start off with personal, then you can go on to health, career, recreational, home, and spirituality. If for whatever reason one of those doesn't apply to you, then you can of course take it out. The biggest one for me in my personal was to do a skincare routine that was night and day. That to me is something that is personal rather than health focused, because it is something that I find myself consistently lacking in. I'm too tired or I'll brush it off. So for me, having a consistent skincare routine both night and day is something I really want to implement, and so far I have been able to do that because it's a small task that I feel like I've been neglecting. For a health goal I had, I wanted to have consistent movement or workouts. Notice how I didn't say, oh, I want to run 5 miles every day. I didn't think that was realistic for me, and I know I'm not someone who enjoys cardio or running or like going outside. So if I can find some kind of movement every day, or at least every other day, I'm gonna be happy with that. Also, if I look back at the year and see that I've done some form of consistent movement throughout the entire year, it doesn't mean that I worked out every day, it doesn't mean I biked for 10 miles, but if I just find some kind of thing or routine that I fall into that I really like, I think I'll be happy when I look back at that, instead of necessarily like pinpointing an exact number, an exact amount of days, because then as soon as you fall off of that or you miss a day, you're gonna want to give up on the entire intention itself. Some of my other health intentions were to eat more plant-based this year. I really want that to be a huge goal. I'm going to be moving back to New York come August, and I really want to be able to have more plant-based routines when I'm going grocery shopping. And I know it's harder when you're living at home and food might be prepared for you by your parents or by your grandma or aunts, uncle, sister, whatever. But when you live on your own, or you can have more control of your food, it's a little bit easier to implement those kinds of goals. As for my career, one of my biggest goals this year is to hit 1,000 subscribers. I really want to do it, and I believe that if I am consistent with my YouTube channel, I will be able to do that. That's something that's a bit more of like numerical and like numbers focused, but not all of your goals have to be focused on numbers and dates and deadlines and things like that. That's just something that I've had in the back of my head, and I think it's really possible, especially seeing like how well my channel did over Vlogmas. I think it's very possible that by the end of 2021, I will be able to have 1,000 subscribers. In the same career category, I also want to be able to get a 4.0 this semester in school as well as next semester. So that's just kind of something that's less career focused. As you can see, all of these goals are just minor changes that I want to make for myself. They're not anything where I'm challenging myself in an unrealistic way or implementing something that I know I can achieve. That was pretty much part one of this intention setting. Again, I will have a blank kind of canvas of it, of just the questions and the goals for you to write yourself if you're interested in following this model. But the second part that she has within this kind of intention new year setting is what you could do if there was no way to fail. So that's kind of the question that you write at the top of your notes or the top of your journal or anything like that. If I had no way to fail, what would I do? And then you kind of break that question down into 2 timelines, a 6 months timeline and then a year timeline. And then underneath both of those, you say be, do, and have. So what would I be in 6 months if there was no way to fail? What would I have if there was no way to fail in 6 months? And then what would I do if there was no way to fail in 6 months? So you just do those 3 things, and as many things as you want to list down, if it's just 1 thing, if it's 2 things, if it's 5 things, and you do that for both 6 months and then a year. I always find that this part of the intentions is my favorite, just because I love thinking about goals and things of, if there was no way to fail, I would have this. If I wasn't afraid of doing something, then I would be this. I think when you kind of position your mindset to think of I can't fail or I won't fail, and you list out things that you want to have or that you want to do, it makes it more attainable. So for example, for me, I wrote, if there was no way to fail, I would be making YouTube videos full time. That doesn't mean that I don't want to have a job or that I hate my job now, but I think if I could make this something full-time, that would make me incredibly happy. I would be doing something that I love and also being able to support myself, and being able to dedicate my creativity to a YouTube space would make me really happy. So that's something I wrote. As for my dues, I wrote that in 6 months, if I could not fail, I would take 2 trips. And I know that's more so not about failing and more so about like the current state of the world and the fact that we're in a pandemic, but I think thinking about what my life used to be like and the things I used to enjoy, I loved traveling. I would love just to take 2 trips anywhere. I mean, they could be in California. I really want to go to Big Sur. I really want to go to Joshua Tree. So just being able to go somewhere that's not LA, I really would love to do that. Looking a little bit further ahead, for the 12 months mark, I wrote that I would be living in New York with my best friend, and that is something that we have been talking about for a very long time. We are just now starting to kind of get into logistics of it and kind of send apartments back and forth, but it is something that I want very badly. I see myself there. I am so excited to be back in New York, but I really would love nothing more than to live with my best friend. I also wrote that in 12 months I would be able to explore New York on my own. I was a little hesitant to see the city for what it was, and I always felt like I needed to be in the company of others, but I think spending this time at home for like a year basically by myself and kind of doing things on my own, there was no way to fail. I would be able to do things on my own the way that I have been here. And the last part for the 12 months, which would be what would I have in 12 months, I said that I would really like to have a wholesome community here on YouTube where my subscribers support each other and I am here for you guys as a resource, and I just really want to interact with as many of you guys as possible. And another goal I have for myself is to have made some friends in New York that are outside of an NYU community. I think that is going to be the hardest thing for me to do, just because of course I'm there for school, so it's really easy to meet people within that community. Kind of going back to my last intention, I would really love to push myself to meet new people, whether it's at a coffee shop or a restaurant or things like that. I really just want to make some new friends in a new community. That pretty much wraps up the second part of the intentions, and then the last part is my favorite part. I know I said that about the last part, but this last part is where I kind of get to really do some like introspective thinking and think about what I do that I love, what I do that I hate, and what I do that I want to change. It's a bit more broad than that, but that's essentially like the gist of this part of the intention making. So the first statement is I want to quit. The second statement is I want to learn. The next statement is I want to try. Then we have I want to have, I want to start, I want to continue to, and then I want to be. So I think this part allows you to kind of acknowledge the good work that you've already been doing within yourself and the habits that you have that are good, that you want to continue, and things that you want to start and look forward to. And it's not so much about being negative and thinking, I didn't do anything worth my while this year, or I made no improvement, because when you look back at this, you already have to acknowledge something that you want to continue to do. So for my intentions for all of these statements, I wrote that I want to quit using my phone when I get up. It is literally the first thing I do. It's habit, it's to check the time, but I really want to stop doing that. I wrote that I want to learn how to edit on Final Cut Pro. If you don't know, I've been using iMovie this entire time, and I am going to finally invest in Final Cut Pro. I wrote I want to try new foods and recipes and cuisines. Again, because I see myself living in my own apartment in New York come summer, I really want to be able to try new recipes, kind of going along that plant-based themed that I haven't tried before. I want to have a successful YouTube channel. I already feel as though my YouTube channel is incredibly successful, more successful than I ever thought it could be, but I really want to continue that and just have that by the end of this year. I want to start taking better care of my skin and then stretching before bed. That kind of goes along with the skincare routine, but I really do not want to neglect my skin anymore. And then I think stretching before bed will just make my body feel a lot more relaxed. And 4, I want to continue to, I do want to continue to journal daily and then spend time with my sister and my friends. So that is something that I really enjoy doing. I wrote, I'm going to stop putting other people's needs above my own, and that's not necessarily a bad thing that I do, but I think a lot of the times I let myself kind of go to the back burner and just say we'll figure it out whenever we do. But I just really think sometimes you come first, and that's really seemingly selfish. I think at the end of the day, you do kind of have to put your mental health and your physical health and your well-being above others sometimes. I want to be, I said that I want to be happy in my own company and that I want to be present in everyday moments. I am really trying to work on, again, enjoying my own company and recognizing my own self-worth and self-value, but also being present when I'm with myself and when I'm with other people, and not relying so much on phones or TV or, you know, like mindless things to kind of fill the void in the room. All that being said, that is pretty much how I write my New Year's intentions every year. I think you can do this at any point in your life, and it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year. If you're seeing this video and it is June, by all means, take this advice and please write it down and follow this model. It is so much more manageable when you set up your intentions and goals for yourself this way. I really think that following this model leads to a much happier mind and just puts you in a better place mentally and physically and spiritually and every way for the upcoming year. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and learning how I write my intentions and how I am best setting myself up for success in the new year. If you enjoyed today's video, please go ahead and subscribe down below, and as always, I will see you in the next one.